Well, welcome everyone. We are on week 3 of our 8 Weeks to Director series for our business training in 2016. And today is a session that I am exceptionally excited about because it's really all around the idea of a nutritional consultation, which is a very important skill set that we need to have and that we benefit so many people by being able to have. So we're going to dig in and get things going.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jill Coogan, and I just want to welcome you to the webinar and just make the point that Barb and I have been doing these webinars, I think, for 6 years now, right, Barb?
Yeah.
And this year, we are so blessed to be working with a team of quality Shaklee leaders who are committed, passionate, and focused on growth, and are willing to share all that they are learning with the rest of us in terms of building a business. And so we thank Harper, Lisa, Katie, Ashley, and Becky.
Here they are, and all growing their businesses now. So
Yep.
We're benefiting from all that they're learning as they're moving up the ranks.
So with nutrition appointments, really the goal is to just help people get started, step into Shaklee Nutrition, and give them some clarity of what some options are. So we're going to take on this amazing topic. You can see our objectives for today: to determine which products are best, to understand what systems in the body are likely needing nutritional support. This doesn't mean you have to be, all sciencey and a nutritionist and all of that, but just to give you some core understanding so you have some confidence in being able to direct people, right? To explain why you trust Shaklee products. That's so, so important to build rapport and friendship. And of course, every one-on-one we have, this is one of the key things because we're really starting, hopefully, the beginning of a long, wonderful relationship where we get to support, help, encourage, and direct people. Simplify the process of getting customers started. Boy, isn't that the truth. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who's been a longtime member of mine, and she goes, "Why is it so confusing? It's so complicated." And I said, "I don't know. I'm sorry, but there is a lot of choices in Shaklee, and even for those of us that have been in for a decade and a half, holy smokes, it can be complicated." So we really always want to kind of help with the simplification process, starting with our own minds and then helping communicate that to others. So we'll talk about why starting people on Vitalizer and Life Shakes or the Life Plan is such a good way. And then, of course, just being mindful of the process, because what we really want is to help our leaders to be able to come in and to do this as well. So it's a great way to change lives in Shaklee is to be competent at a nutritional consultation. So before we launch into the nitty-gritty here, we want to give you a nice picture of what it looks like to have a 2,000 PV plan. We always want to feel comfortable creating these plans, and so we're going to do it around the scenario of nutrition appointments. So if you were to have 3 nutrition appointments a week for 4 weeks, that's 12 appointments. Now, we always have to estimate the PV involved because you never know for sure, but you could have, and this is pretty realistic, 100 PV per appointment, which would be 1,200 or 50, so you can kind of see it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. Sometimes people will come in with 250 and some people will come in with 50. You just don't know. When customers order, again, we thought this is a perfect time to just really quickly go over the sponsoring points again. So everyone knows that when you sponsor someone with 100 PV, you get 2 sponsoring points, right? So these are points that go towards the trip points, towards power bonuses if you're in a power bonus phase, all of that. Now, here's something we want you to know. If you sponsor someone with less than 100 PV and within those first 60 days places another order that gets them up to 100 PV or more, you will get those 2 trip points. So that's just kind of something to be aware of because that adds up and it makes a big difference. There's another, and actually this happened for me the other day. It was really fun. Thing that happens if you sponsor a new member, and then after that they have 3 auto ships with a minimum of 100 PV, it will double your sponsoring points. So let's say you sponsor someone with 100 PV, you have 2 points in the system, and then after that they have 3 auto ships with a base of 100 PV or more, they will double that to 4. So that is pretty awesome. All right, so hopefully that's clear as mud. We always want to make sure that we're not confusing you too much, but giving you an idea of what's happening. And then I love this scenario because 2,000 PV is such an important focus or drive for us. But 5 appointments for 4 weeks, 5 appointments a week times 4 weeks at 100 PV is your 2,000 PV, and you have started a beautiful business and gotten to the place of director. So, Becky.
Yes, thank you so much, Lisa, for that recap. I'm not always a math person, and so sometimes I do just need it written out like that so I can see how doable it is. But let's just look really quick at our role as we go into the session today. Our role is really to be an advocate. We aren't, well, maybe some of you are physicians, I am not, but we want to be able to really understand where our customer's coming from and then offer them some information about what we have. I love this point about emphasizing the Shaklee difference. We've talked several times about how people are bombarded from ads and things on Facebook or TV or whatever, and we want to let them know how ours stands out. That's such an important piece. Then really for us to understand the product line from the product guide that we have, from the Nutrition in You booklet, and Barb put the website there. If you are not sure what that is, it's just a really nice little booklet that you can order from that website that has each of our supplements, and it tells the benefits of each one. So it's a little bit different than the product guide and a very useful tool. For us using the products, we want to be able to have personal testimonies to be able to do that. And then listening to podcasts, the webinars like this, but then also about products. We have Tuesday night calls called Product Talks, hearing people's stories, reading nutritional books. There's so many things that we can do in our role. And then for us to be able to practice living healthy and trying new things ourselves, and then really understanding what it takes to be healthy. And I want to add one more, is just to really be okay with being a lifelong learner, that it's okay if we do not know everything right off the bat, and it's okay if we continue to learn. But have that be in your mind as well, and that will be helpful.
In order to get somebody to sit down with you or get on the phone with you, there's a few questions here that we have brainstormed and put together to help you with that. One of the things that I've obviously trained a lot on is really just being honest and approaching somebody and having a conversation of saying, I would really love to get on the phone with you and learn more about you, and my favorite phrase, and become the best advocate for you. So this can be really helpful for members that we have. If you haven't done a health consult with them or a nutrition consult with them, you can really just call them up and say, I would really love to be the best advocate for you. Would you be interested in a call where I can get to know you and maybe help you out with Shaklee and some products that might be beneficial? Some other things that you can do is, I love this question. If there were one thing you could change about your health, what would it be? And this really gets people's minds spinning because when you ask that, rather than just like, what would you change? But really like, if you could change one thing just right now, just snap your fingers right now, what would it be? You just see people's brains kind of spinning of like, wow. So when you think about the people you know, what kinds of health issues do you hear them having concerns about? So this really helps people to spin their brains about others, because sometimes health and nutrition can be a little overwhelming for people personally, but they can identify with other people and be able to have that open conversation. The other thing we want to do is that permission marketing piece that I always touch on, and a way that we can do that is purely by asking. I have a very helpful nutrition assessment that really allows me to identify nutritional deficiencies or so really that permission marketing piece of really asking, if I were to send this to you, would you be interested in hopping on the phone with me and helping me to understand your health concerns better and answer any questions
Must be
you
the
have?
internet. Yeah. Just keep going. It's all right.
Oh, no. Okay. And then finally, I like to give those two options. I know we trained a little bit on this before, but rather than just saying, can we get on the phone the next day, I actually really like to do the two options. Listen, I'm free after 4 Tuesday and Thursday. Which time works for you? And continuing to give those options until they can commit to something to get on the phone and have a nutritional consult with you. So the next thing we'll talk about is strategies for nutritional consultations. Now, this post here on the bottom right is something that I put on my Facebook because I was just, it was right before we were leaving on our RV trip, and I just wanted to get in front of some people and talk to people and give them this one last chance to schedule a one-on-one health or business consult with me. And I got a lot of response from it because there's something really professional, just really separates us. Again, we're always looking at how we can differentiate us from other companies. And I think that nutritional consults, and really the phrase of nutritional consults or health consults, really, really do that for us and allowing us to say, hey, you know, I'm less about selling you and more about helping you. I'm less about making these products in your door and more about making sure that I get something that's really going to help you. And so I posted that. That was one thing that I did. Another thing that I do is what I call follow-up campaigns. So I will, for instance, choose about 15 to 20 people in my member count, or, you know, you could do 5, just some people that you think, I really think that they could benefit from this. And I actually reach out and just say, you know, I ran a drawing among my current members for a free nutritional consult. And I do let them know the value, because getting a nutritional consult, having someone sit on the phone with you and get to know you and answer these questions, whether or not you have a background, that's a really valuable thing. It's something that you're giving your time of. And I say this purely to let them know, you know, this is something that I'm gifting you. And then I go on to say, your name was selected, and I would really love to do this with you. You know, you must schedule by blank, because usually when it's a follow-up campaign for me, I'd like it to all happen in the same month. And then I like to do a gift if they take advantage of the call. So when you take advantage of this call, regardless of whether or not you're going to order, you will receive a free sample pack, because I really believe that when you get to know somebody and you connect with somebody and build that trust on a call like that, you got to get them on the call by giving them a free sample. But I've really never had anybody not order something from having that conversation, because it's communication and it's connection that you really just can't get from sitting behind a screen. So it's just a beautiful thing that we can do with people. But the free sample pack really sort of incentivizes them. Just get on the phone. You know, what's the harm? I'm going to get something free, and I'll get to talk about myself for a little bit. And everybody loves talking about themselves, which is a good thing.
Can I add something to that, Ashley?
Yeah.
Because I think this is such a great idea, and I love it. In fact, I'm sure I got this idea from you maybe 2 months ago, roughly. I did this where I just talked about, I contacted some people and let them know that I was doing these free health consultations, and that they would be able to get some products to help them. And what ended up happening, both of them did the health consultations. I got them on the phone, which was awesome, because, you know, our goal is always, as we talked about earlier, to get on the phone, or to ideally to do a one-on-one. And then they started on the products, and now they are both very interested in the business. So I think sometimes people can come into Shaklee seeing the generosity that we have to offer people and what we're willing to do for them. And it also cuts down on some barriers where sometimes people really want to go on Shaklee, but there's a financial concern. So it helps people to be able to get what they need for their health, but they're also drawn to what we're able to bring them. So I love that, and I just wanted to share that story.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition, you'll see here, if we could just go back one really quick. In addition, you'll see here that, and we just did this at an event at Katie's house, and fact is that I have these forms that actually says drawing for a free health consult. So rather than a free gift right off the bat, they get a free health consult, and then for doing that, they also get a free gift. And so it kind of seems like a double whammy of gifts that they can get. And I do this at a vendor event, at a smoothie workshop, at just a regular old Shaklee event at your home. But it's just a really good way to offer people something where they're going to get on the phone with you, because it's really what we want to do. And then afterwards, you can send them a note, whether or not, you know, they talked about with that sample pack that you promised. And I'll talk a little bit later about some strategies to getting them to order as well.
Very nice.
So once you've made that appointment, those are such great strategies to get to that place. But now, how do we go through the appointment? And the appointments can look a lot of different ways. I think you can do a 3-way call, especially if you're newer and you're just not confident, you're not sure, you're still learning. Getting on a 3-way call with your upline is very powerful, because not only are you learning about what do you answer someone when you discover that their child has this eczema, but also how do you ask the questions? And that is if you have that upline relationship, that is a very valuable way to just continue that learning. An individual appointment where it's you and the person on the phone, or in person, those are both very powerful ways because, like we said, unless you're having that voice-to-voice connection, you're not going to be able to discover their needs. And I think that that is the very first part, is really understanding their health needs. And I think that that is one thing, if you think about it, when you're talking with someone on Facebook Messenger or texting back and forth, it can very much sound like you're selling them. You're just trying to sell them a product because you don't have the opportunity to listen the same way you do with their voice. And so it can really feel like that to them. And I think what Tara said was very, very powerful, is that we want to listen and have real conversations, because we don't want to say to someone, oh, your kids have missed so much school, we really need to get you some vitamins because your kids are sick all the time, and actually, your husband, he's always dragging, we should probably get him some complex. That's not helpful. They need to, we can't solve a problem until it's acknowledged. And so asking them questions, whether it's someone new who you're not starting with a specific topic, but, how does your family deal with colds and flus? How are things going for you? Or when you do have when they say, I want to talk to you about this, just start by asking questions. It's everything we just talked about last week in the conversations. It's the same thing. Tell me about your health. Tell me about how you feel. Tell me about this. And it's just continuing to ask questions, because when we really have those real conversations and we really engage in what's going on in their life, they will tell us about things that we didn't know about. Because unless they feel safe with you, they're not going to tell you about the anxiety that they struggle with that may be related to this eczema they have. Or they're not going to tell you about these horrible digestive issues that are embarrassing if they don't feel safe and they don't feel like you're listening to them. Or they're not going to tell you that they're pregnant and they haven't even told their mom yet, but they want to make sure that they're taking the right things. But unless we give them the opportunity to feel safe, and this asking questions is, like Katie said, you can weave in, you may find that they have a need for the business that you didn't know they had, but by asking these questions and finding out where they are, that's how we really be their advocate, because we need to know what we're advocating for.
Very good.
So as we think about our health consults, and as Harper was saying, it's so important to ask these questions, but you're probably wondering, what questions can you ask when you're doing a health consult? Well, think about the person that you're talking to. You might already know some of the needs they have, but you're not going to say, I know you're struggling with your weight. Instead, you're going to ask questions so that they are able to identify what is their concern. So common questions that we typically ask is, where would you put your energy on a scale of 1 to 10? And I think almost every single time, except for maybe once that I've done this, everybody has always rated their energy 5 or below. And really, we're, and I love when Barb does these, because it's often people in their 20s and 30s, and Barb has more energy than anybody we know. And so she'll laugh and, just talk about how, we are supposed to have a lot of energy. It's not normal to feel tired all the time. It's not normal to have a lot of stress in our lives. So asking about the energy, I have found that almost everybody wants more energy, because we're all looking to feel better and we're all looking for natural ways to have more energy. And then another question is, where would you put your stress on a scale of 1 to 10? What would be your stress level? And so many times, so many people are so stressed, most of the time because of their jobs and just feeling like they're just scraping by and they're working 40, 50, 60-hour-a-week jobs. Identifying that can bring an opportunity for the business. If they say that they're just feeling really stressed, and asking them more about that. and as you think about it, it's important that when you're having these health consults to always have pen and paper nearby so that you're taking notes. Because if you're anything like me, you'll forget things that they say. But then you're able to go back and you're able to look, and when you're giving a recommendation, you can look back at those notes. And then when you're talking to them, also asking them about their diet. What do you typically have for breakfast? What do you typically have for lunch? What do you typically eat for dinner? In fact, that's probably what you should start with. So people can see that this isn't just about supplementing, but this is also about diet. And diet's a huge component in our health. As great as it is to add in a bunch of supplements, if you don't change your diet and if you're eating junk throughout the day, you're still going to feel pretty crummy. So it's important that you walk people through their diet. And every time you walk people through their diet, typically what I've noticed is they have cereal or bagels, sometimes occasionally eggs, but for the most part, it's very carb, lots of carbs that people have. And so it's an easy way to incorporate the protein shakes. Not only that, but then you're teaching people how quick and easy it is to do for not only you, but also for your kids. And then also ask them questions about, if you're talking to a woman, ask them about their mood swings. And this is always an issue. Hormonal imbalance is very common nowadays, and a lot of women struggle with that, and that's not normal. So getting into some of those details, or how many headaches would you say you have in a month, or how many headaches would you get? Do you have any pain? Different things like that. Sometimes people are so used to feeling something like pain or headaches or digestive issues that they think it's just common, and it's not common to have those concerns. They can feel better. So as you're listening to different symptoms, as they're sharing different things, like, for example, headaches or perhaps pain or mood swings, then you can help them identify a plan and identify different things that can help. I have found that in these health consults, typically, and this is, I have to say, Barb has taught our team this, whenever we're working with somebody, the first thing we always do with them is we heal their gut, because of our food and because of the way our food is made, a lot of times our gut is out of balance. So we talk about ways to heal the gut. And then we address inflammation. And we talk about how when we eat a lot of food, especially sugar, carbs, different things like that, that causes inflammation in our body. So the way which inflammation then leads to disease. So the way to reduce that inflammation is to eat lots of veggies. Veggies help reduce inflammation, and then we talk about the omegas, and we talk about Vivix, and we talk about alfalfa, and all the different things that can help with the inflammation. And as you're talking about, as you may get into the health consult, you may notice that they start talking about medication. And we, as Lisa noted, or maybe it was Becky, we are not doctors, obviously. And so when somebody brings up a medication, I will write it down, but we don't need to necessarily know all the ins and outs of a medication, because for the most part, a lot of our products are safe to take alongside medications, but we also make sure that they talk to their doctor about whatever it is that they're doing, because, we always want them to be as safe as possible. So it's important that when they're listing off their medications, we just identify what they're taking it for. So, for example, if they say I'm on a medication for high cholesterol, then we might talk about some of the products that can help reduce our cholesterol. Talk about the omegas and the CoQ Heart and protein and all the different things that we can do to help them. I think it's very important to note, too, when we talk to people, not to have them just stop their medication. Again, that's very important, because they need to be under the care of a doctor. And I've had this actually with people who had allergies, and they just started taking their supplements one day and then just immediately stopped taking their antihistamines. That can happen in Shaklee, but remember, that takes time. And we always want to be working alongside of a doctor, especially when medications are involved.
Could I pop in here just 1 second? Excellent, Katie. I just want to underline something. For some of you who, some people are more interested in nutrition and sort of the reasons why people have different health issues than others. And the purpose of these questions is not for us, because if someone has allergies, I already know what I'm going to recommend. We're going to get them on some Nutriferin, and the Vitalizer, and a handful of alfalfa, and we're on our way. The purpose of the questions is for them. I want them to see the condition that their bodies are in that they haven't given any thought to at all. So those questions about, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put your energy? I spoke to a young woman last week. She was 28 or 29, and she said, "Oh, my energy is pretty good. I'd probably give it a 6." A 6, and then I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put your stress? And she said, oh, an 11. And she proceeded to tell me about she works 2 jobs and long days. And I said, well, no wonder your energy is a 6. You see, she was so busy living her life and doing these 2 jobs, she hadn't realized that that wasn't a good thing. And you don't have to go into great deal. Sometimes you can just say, how many vegetables do you eat in a day? And when do you start eating these carbs? And they get it. They just, so it isn't complicated. I love what Katie is doing, because she's linking the questions, to the symptoms that they're getting, and you write this down and you just see a picture, and you know what? It's almost the same picture all the time. Everybody's eating too many carbs and not enough vegetables. That's the bottom line. So look at what all those symptoms, and it almost always goes back to that. So don't be intimidated by the questions and the detail of this, because it's just intended to help that person understand where they might need to have a little nutritional support. Well done, Katie. Thanks.
One thing to also think about is that I once or twice have had a situation where I know exactly what they eat and why it is causing them to have these issues. I've been hoping they would call me forever or respond to my invitation, and they did. But I felt like they know that I know what they eat. And so I felt awkward asking these questions, because I wanted to be conscious of, I wanted them to, like Barb was saying, realize themselves, put it together, because they weren't on the defensive, knowing, seeing our kids sit next to each other eating lunch. And so I did a 3-way with an upline, not because I didn't know the answer, not because I didn't know how to ask the questions, but because I knew that particular person was going to think about the questions in a non-defensive way from someone that wasn't so close. And so sometimes getting a third party in a situation like that can make someone be less defensive about what they eat, so that they really can start to understand and get the whole picture.
So here's some just good facts for us to know, and sometimes it's appropriate when we're talking about the Shaklee difference for us to share these with the people we're meeting with as well, but it's really good for us to know just the medications that are out there and how many people are on them. So you can see the numbers there. A Medicaid patient over 65 is on an average of 19.1 medications. That is a ton of medicines. Under 65 is 7.9, and I love this. The Shaklee person over 65 is on 0.6, which is incredible. So it's just such a good illustration of how.
That's from the Landmark study, by the way, so that's all been validated.
Yes, it is phenomenal for us to be able to have this kind of information and for us to know this. And so, like I said, it might be appropriate if someone you're talking with is on several medications, just to say, you know what, we would love to get you eventually off some of those, and here's some numbers or statistics or whatever. But here we go. The required testing for 80 contaminants, but Shaklee tests for over 350. Again, just the dominance of Shaklee in the science world is incredible. And that we conduct over 100,000 quality tests in a year just to make sure that our products are pure and potent, and that we also have more than $300 million in research and development, which is just an incredible amount. I mean, no one can come close to the amount of research that Shaklee does. So touching on medications again, Katie did a really good job with that. Just a couple of other points we wanted to put in here is that we can assure them with the Shaklee vitamins, they are food-based. So for the most part, you're not going to have to worry about any interactions. It's just like you had a big salad when you're taking your Bs, or you had salmon when you're taking your Omega Guard. But there are some that, especially some of our herbals, that might occasionally have an interaction. So we don't want to, if they are on a medication, we definitely want to just be cautious about that. St. John's wort, which is our mood lift, and birth control pills or antidepressant medications, we just want to make sure that that they have talked to their doctor. So I feel like what I like to do is, and it's listed here, some customers are more cautious by nature anyway. So I like for them to take the product guide and call their pharmacist, or if they're nearby, just go into the pharmacy, because I feel like pharmacists are a little bit easier to get a hold of than like their medical doctor. And the pharmacists are really on top of interactions. So then they can see, the pharmacist just needs to see, you know, what are the ingredients, what are the milligrams, micrograms, and they'll be able to tell them right then if there's any interactions, if it's okay for them to take a supplement along with their medication. Then, if they say it's okay to take it, our goal is that they would take their supplements right alongside the medication. Now what we hope to happen is that as they are taking those things, that when they go into however they get their medication checked, that those numbers will show, you know what, maybe you don't need as much medication. And so then that can be lowered while they're still taking the supplements. So our hope is that then they will be able to just be on the supplements and not need the medication. But it really is their decision. I like this phrase here. We can tell them what we would personally do, but we need to be sure and let them know that that's their personal decision and they need to figure that out. But like Barb said, too, there's some that you definitely want to check with your doctor because they need to be removed slowly. And Harper did such a nice job of talking about trust, and I actually feel like, bottom line, some people come to trust Shaklee very quickly, and other people, it's just a little bit slower. And so I do feel like this whole piece with medications and supplements, it may take a little bit of time for some personalities, just because trust can take time. It doesn't have to, but sometimes it can. And so they may have to have a level of trust for Shaklee before they feel okay about that. But we just wanted to insert that here.
And let me just jump in, Becky, because I can tell you that this is one of the most exciting and satisfying parts of what we do is helping people get off their medications. And it's amazing to me how often it happens. I mean, I think just by having someone kind of take control of their health, be proactive, accept responsibility, make some changes with their diet, get on some good supplementation, get to exercising, all of these good kind of domino effect type things gives them so much power and potential over how much medication they're on. It is truly a celebration, and I love every time I have a member that calls me and says, guess what, I don't have to take this, I don't have to take this. It is a wonderful role we play in the world. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry might hate us, but I just love it. And I think it's a fantastic benefit for everyone that there's advocates out there helping them if they want to get off these medications. So.
Yeah. And the safe way go ahead, Barb. Well, the safe way to say that is, I always say, my goal is to get you so healthy that you don't have any need for it anymore. Go ahead, Kate.
Well, I think it's important, too, to realize that if a doctor is very educated, then they will look at the Shaklee products and they will be on board. I think sometimes, and this has happened to me in the past, some doctors have, for example, looked at our prenatals and they have said, oh, there's not enough this or that, or there's too much this. And in my opinion, they just don't understand the Shaklee difference. They just don't understand the science, because doctors only go through one nutrition course. So personally, if I'm talking to somebody, I would say, I trust my team member who's a nutritionist, who has her background in nutrition. And I've learned so much over the past few years as I've been trained in nutrition. So I trust Shaklee, and here is why, and giving them some of that information. But also, we have doctors. We have Dr. Jamie. We have Dr. Daggy. We have resources to give people. So I would say most of the time, a lot of doctors encourage Shaklee. In fact, I have had people who say, if you're going to use any products, any supplements, only use Shaklee. Those are some smart doctors. We want them everywhere because they understand that we have the purest, most potent products possible. But not every doctor does know that. And so when you come across that obstacle, just gently remind people that doctors are trained in treating. Doctors are trained in prescribing. That is what they do. And so we have to, and when you share that with people, you can tell a light bulb goes off. It went off with me because I didn't realize that. I've just kind of always grown up with whatever the doctor says goes. So, in fact, I've noticed even just with our family doctor, with my kids, a lot of things that have happened with my kids, I've asked, well, what can you do to help this? And she'll say nothing. And I'm thinking, oh no, there are lots of things we can do to prevent ear infections or to prevent, different things that are happening with our bodies. We know that there's lots of natural remedies that we can go through. So as we think, and I talked about this earlier, as we think about this whole diet component piece, as they're walking you through what to eat, it's important that not only we ask what to eat, but then we help them to incorporate, how can you incorporate veggies into your diet? And because sometimes people might not like the taste of vegetables, or they might not know how to incorporate vegetables. So we talk about having a vegetable plate. This is one of the easiest ways I can get vegetables in my kids, because when, as a mom, anything you make and you sit down to eat, your kids are going to eat. And so I've learned to make a huge plate and try and incorporate veggies that way. And I love hummus, and hummus is good for you. So adding that in soups this time of year, you can chop up. I've made lots of different chili lately and different chili recipes, and that's a way you can get in a lot of your vegetables. We talk about blending spinach and kale in your smoothies and how you can incorporate that in. But as you're asking them about their diet and their time of it, a really good question is there a time of day when you have cravings for sweets or carbs, or as Barb says, snacky, chippy, salty, crunchy things? Because I think that's a really good question. And a lot of times people will say, well, yeah, I actually have that, in the middle of the day. Oh, yeah, I have that at the end of the day. And so people are having that because a lot of times their blood sugar is plummeting. So that's when we start talking, that's an easy way of incorporating our protein and how our protein helps stabilize our blood sugar. And that's where we get energy from. Or we talk about the snack bars and the meal bars that we have. And so as we talk about their diet, it's important that we encourage them to try and get 6 to 9 vegetables in a day. And we also educate them on what happens when we have refined carbohydrates, and how when we have those in our bodies, what happens is that we get a sugar increase in our bodies. And eventually that leads us shortly after to crash. And that's where I've noticed for me, if I have like a sandwich, for example, for lunch, I will feel tired in 30 minutes because of the bread on the sandwich, versus if I have a salad with protein in a smoothie. And so even just giving examples. And then also I recommend Grain Brain and Wheat Belly. And I think we're going to have a list of those books. Are really good for people to understand our diet and how much food can play a role. And another really good question to ask is, when was the last time you were on an antibiotic? It's so interesting, but as we all know, as soon as a baby comes into this world, they are introduced to an antibiotic. They get the antibiotic cream on their eyes, and then sometimes if a mom needs to be put on an antibiotic during labor and after labor, then they get the antibiotics from that. And then we also have antibiotics that are in our meat. And then if somebody gets sick, they get prescribed an antibiotic. I know for me, I had a lot of sinus infections growing up and strep throat a lot. And so I was on a lot of antibiotics. And so then we start talking to them about how an antibiotic will destroy that good bacteria in our gut. And we want to bring back that good bacteria, because 70 to 80% of our immune system is in the gut. And talking about how we can, by healing our gut, we are boosting our immune system, because otherwise we get in this vicious cycle. It happened to me as a child. I would get strep throat, and then you get on an antibiotic, and that would weaken my immune system. And then what would happen a month later? I would get strep throat again, and then I would go on an antibiotic. And, it's interesting, but I also had a lot of allergies as well. And I think there can sometimes be a correlation with that, because allergies often are linked to a weakened immune system. And as you're talking about an antibiotic too, that can help you with any digestive issues. So do you experience gas or any bloating, and walking them through that. And almost every single time people have digestive issues. And that can then lead to candida. And Barb, I don't know, you do a really good job of explaining candida, but a lot of people have candida and they just don't know about it. So I don't know, Barb, if you want to share a little bit about that.
Only to, there's a very good Candida information sheet that's good to have, and all it does is it lists all the related symptoms for Candida or Candida yeast that is very common. So when when people take all these antibiotics, they kill off the probiotics that protect us from the overgrowth of these pathogens, and that Candida yeast little plants attach themselves to the walls of the intestines, and over time they poke holes in it, and that leads to leaky gut. And many people have, so I always ask, have you ever heard the term leaky gut? And some people have, and say, well, now you see stuff that's bad stuff in the gut that should be on its way out of the body is making its way back through the leaky gut into the bloodstream, and wherever the blood goes, that's where you can have breakdown. So that's why it's connected always to migraines and headaches and so on. So it's a very easy word picture that you can create for them. But the only point you want to make here is we got to heal the gut. And that's where we're going with this, is at the close is why we're going to recommend Vitalizer. And there's a lot of stuff in Vitalizer that helps heal the gut. Well done, Katie. Good on that slide. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as we start, so we have asked these questions, and then we start kind of categorizing where their health issues are. And I think what Barb said and what Katie said, something to remember is that one of the things that you can understand when you're looking at a holistic picture of health is that things are related and connected. And when you're talking to someone and asking questions and they bring up what they think are 3 unrelated health issues, and you can explain to them that actually those are all related to this Candida issue we were talking about, or that the issues that are going on in your digestive system, those are affecting your immune system and your mental and mood issues. And so being able to understand how they all fit together, and I mean, when you say that to some people who have never heard it, the light just goes on, that all of this is connected, and as that we heal the body, there are side benefits. And that's something that I talk about a lot of times with people, is that when we're healing different parts of the body, it's going to heal other parts of the body too. So some of these categories of health needs are a weakened immune system. You see that with allergies, frequent colds and viruses. You see inflammation is a huge health concern, and that's any of those itises, but asthma, heart disease, joint health, arthritis issues, that's all related to inflammation, pain, cardiovascular issues, mental and mood issues, whether it's hormonal or depression, anxiety, ADD and ADHD, behavioral issues, memory. That's another kind of section that also can be related to some of these other things. Energy and fatigue. We have blood sugar and candida, digestive issues, heartburn, IBS, gas, irregularity. This affects their immune system, their moods, their focus, candida, all these things, food sensitivities, headaches, and then obviously obesity, which also aggravates our blood pressure, cholesterol, joint pain. So as you can see here, there are specific issues, and we can start to help them with those specifics, but we can also see how they're related. And so when we're making recommendations for the diet, like Katie said before, we have to let people understand that they can't just, here, take these vitamins and everything will be fine. You can keep eating, Pop-Tarts 3 times a day, but you need to explain that we're looking at a holistic picture. And like Katie and Barb were saying, is that we need to give them tools, because if they eat 1 vegetable at dinner every night, which is very common, and that's the only vegetable that's in their family's diet, the 6 to 9 is overwhelming, and they have no idea how to make that happen. And so giving people very specific tools, whether it's like Katie said, people are like, I don't really like vegetables. Well, maybe we need to find out what vegetables you like and how you like them. I like to put, I blog sometimes about different vegetable recipes that just kind of mix it up, giving them ideas. Well, what flavors do you like? How do you like things? well, what about stir fry, salads? And people say, well, making a salad takes so much time. And I talk about how, well, what you can do is, buy the baby spinach, so it's set to go, and then just grate a bunch of carrots and chop up a bunch of broccoli and have it all in containers ready, so you can just quickly throw these salad together. Giving them ideas of how to spice that up. And for kids, giving them examples of how they can incorporate vegetables into their day. And because that's not the typical route, because that's not the habits that they're in, it seems so difficult. But when you give them those practical tips, they can realize, oh yeah, I can do that. The other thing is helping people reduce and eliminate those refined carbohydrates and sugar, and really explaining to them that this is an addiction, that we get addicted to those things in the same place in our brain that we get addicted to cocaine and opiates. And they don't have to feel guilty, but it's powerful. And there's that freedom in that okay, this is an addiction and I can break this, but I have to know that it has a lot of power. And people often need very specific alternatives. Okay, so you have, and sometimes it's a gradual thing. Like, all I eat every day for breakfast is cereal, and all my kids eat the cereal. It's all we eat is cereal. Okay, but they love their cereal. All right, well, we'll try to find a healthier cereal. And what if we had a protein shake with some veggies in it, and then they had a very small bowl of cereal just to kind of ease them out of that habit. Or sometimes it's, okay, well, I give my kids just, graham crackers for snacks. What else am I supposed to give them for snacks? Okay, well, here are some ways we can replace some of these things, and just really helping give people the tools. Because if you just say, eat more vegetables, eat less crackers, they're like, well, I don't know what to eat. So just helping people understand those things as they make these changes, and really being their advocate here. And I think that when we do this, we really show them that we are being their advocate, that their whole health matters to us, that we're giving them non-Shaklee tools because we want to be that resource for them. So I think that not only does this make a huge difference in their life, but it really does show them what kind of advocate that we're being for them.
That's so good, Harper. And again, it just is building trust again, that you can be a trusted individual, that you're not just there to sell product, that you are really caring about them and you want them to be well in a lot of different ways. So excellent, excellent. So just some general principles of prevention. The traditional U.S. model, U.S. medicine model, is to treat symptoms and not causes. And I'm so thankful for medicine and doctors. I'm so thankful. But if there are some things that I can handle in a natural way, I want to go that route. And I experienced this first bullet point with my eczema. The only thing I could find that helped was a steroid cream, and we were moving a lot. It really flared after I started having children, and after each childbirth, it would get really bad. And every doctor would tell me, don't use this very long, it's not good for you. But I kept moving, and we were moving to different places for my husband's job, and I just never asked anybody, like, is there anything I can get to the bottom of this? Can we get to what's causing this instead of always treating it when it flares? So we want to get to the causes. And Harper talked about offering information from a third party, whether that's your upline or a three-way call, or maybe it's a webinar. That's always helpful. And then I love this from the Never Be Sick Again book. He talks about there's really just one disease, and that's malfunctioning cells. And there's two things that are happening, either nutritional deficiency or exposure to toxins. And so we've been talking a lot about the nutrition piece, but we also want to be sure, along with that we're offering ways for them to get the Get Clean cleaners into their home, and also the Shaklee personal care products, because those could be kind of cluttering up their health as well. And then we're going to tick through these. We actually have several scenarios. So this is going to be a really good webinar for you to be able to print off these slides and just keep in a binder, because this is going to have all this information for these different categories that we've talked about. So here's a great start for the immune system, and typically people are going to see some results fairly quickly. So a place to start would be vitamin C, Nutrifuron, and unless it's an autoimmune disease, and then we want to wait a little bit on that, and then Optiflora. And Katie talked about that 70% of our immune system is in our gut. If they're able, with their budget, to take a little bit bit more, then we've got some other products listed there that would be very helpful for any immune system kinds of things happening. Remember, we're just going to reinforce, we want to talk about the science, the absorption, share your story, all of that as we're recommending for people.
Yes, definitely. I think explaining, I mean, the Shaklee difference and explaining why that is so powerful is so important. Health is digestive issues. Like I said, we're talking about acid reflux, IBS, gas, bloating. Optiflora is great, and it's great one to use as an example when you're talking about the Shaklee difference. That's our probiotic, EasyGest, alfalfa, stomach soothing complex, and we want to talk about some of the diet pieces that make a difference in digestive issues. And like I said, these are great resources for you to come back to. Mood swings that are affected by fluctuating blood, sometimes hormones. So if they're related to hormones, it may look a little different, but B-complex and omega GAR, vitamin D are all nutritional deficiencies that affect our brains. Mood lift, if they're not on an antidepressant, but those are great places to start.
And so looking at the inflammation category, we talked about that this is a lot of them with any of the itises, and so Omega Guard is a great one to start with, and GLA, again, vitamin C, the joint health complex. Some people can get immediate pain with that muscle and pain cream, which really helps as they're kind of on this journey to getting their health back. And then Vivix is, of course, a really wonderful one for inflammation. And then again, we've got some diet things here to recommend. Foods that increase inflammation are the sugar, red meats, dairy, and then any animal sources of the food. So you can see through this whole morning that we are trying to really give a full picture of what their health can be like. We want to offer some resources with our products, but then we're also offering some resources with education and diet things.
And I think Barb did a really good job of talking about the Candida. And what's interesting is a really good CD that I listened to called, it was about protein. And in there, Dr. Shaklee, they talked about how Dr. Shaklee, the top product that is the foundation for our health is protein, which was really interesting to me. But he talked about, if there's one product to start people on, it would be protein. And it talked about in the CD, it addressed how protein is a building block of our body. And I often share with people how an egg only has 6 grams of protein, and that for most of us, depending on our weight and depending if we're a man or a woman, we need a minimum of at least 50 grams. That can depend, but typically a minimum. And so you can see how it's hard to get the recommended amount of protein in our diet. And then you add in the fact that it's hard to get a clean source, a complete protein like Shaklee has. So as you think about this whole Candida and about healing our gut, it's so important for people to recognize the need and the importance of protein and that component that it plays in our health. And the great thing about our protein is that people are getting the pre and the probiotics in it. And we talk about how they create a spore in our body so that it can ensure that it makes it down into the gut. So as Barb talked about this already, the probiotics help to heal the gut, and it helps us, especially when we've ever been on antibiotics, steroids, or any other kind of medication. And when that Candida can grow out of control, it can attach to the wall of the intestine, and that's where leaky gut comes in. And a lot of times, headaches and migraines are often linked back to Candida. Very interesting, but that oftentimes is the case for a lot of people. So we want to stop feeding the Candida, and garlic kills the yeast. Garlic is an absolutely incredible product that Shaklee has, and sometimes I don't think we talk enough about garlic. It's antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, and so I just started taking it every day because there's just some germs going around our house, and plus everybody seems to be sick now in this month, in the month of February and January. So I'm trying to keep my immune system up as much as possible. There's also been studies to show that it can actually help with the prevention of cancer as well. So we want to stop feeding the Candida, and Candida, again, comes from those refined carbs and sugar. And it's important when Candida dies, there's a die-off phase, and people can feel lousy for a short period of time. And so this is where this follow-up and this customer care is so important, because sometimes people go on our products and they experience a detox effect. And it's because their body's getting this rush of all these good nutrients, and what's happening? Our body's trying to get rid of the bad stuff. And so temporarily people will feel a little bit crummy for a short period of time, especially if there's candida issues, and just showing people why that is, and so they can persevere to then experience feeling amazing and helping to kill that candida, and then strengthening the immune system, as we've already talked about. And I think Ashley's talking about overweight and obesity.
Yeah, and I think that this is also a really big and important factor because our gut health and all that we've talked about is really important. But if you look, too, being overweight plays a big role in a lot of other health risks and diseases like diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, strokes, dementia. All that is increased by being overweight. And a lot of people actually, my experience is a lot of people come into Shaklee to lose weight, and then they find out all the other amazing things about Shaklee. And as we all know, we've got the amazing 180 products as well as the Life Shakes, the turnaround kit that we have. But really, I think, as Katie kind of mentioned, it's about the support and relationship that we can bring people because losing weight and getting healthy is really, really hard, especially if people have some unhealthy habits. And so I have just found the more that I can be attentive to people and really, as Harper mentioned, giving them ideas for recipes and asking enough questions to find out what's going on for them, the more I can help them to lose that weight. And I just have had so many people who started just wanting to lose weight, and slowly but surely as they lost weight, they had so much more curiosity about what Shaklee had to offer because our system really does work. And as many of us know, our products are so different than others because they actually allow our bodies to lose fat and gain muscle, creating such a sustainable weight loss program that other companies just don't have to offer due to the amino acid called leucine that's in them. So really, I think that this is along with Basic H, as Katie would say, this is kind of like the floodgates of Shaklee, is helping people to lose weight and get healthy because they can see it quick.
All right, and so you can see some recommendations for fatigue. Most people do have fatigue. I am not going to go through them because we are at the top of the hour, and I know that probably everyone on the call is going to want to have an idea of how to have a strong close. So Barb and Joe, if you want to weigh in here on how we do this, we might decide to do more on the close going through. Otherwise, let's just quickly go through these if we can. There's 10 million awesome questions as well, so we're going to have to make some good judgment calls here on the time. So, all right, Katie.
So, as we are wrapping things up on our health consult, a great place to start with people is Vitalizer. They get the free membership, and they get Feel Better in 30 days or get your money back that's on the box for people to visually see. But Vitalizer is just a great foundation because of everything that's in it, the 80 nutrients in the Vitalizer. The best of the best is the Life Plan, most comprehensive nutrition plan on the planet. But sometimes people can't start with the Life Plan just due to financial reasons. And so starting people on the Vitalizer is typically what we start people with, and it's what people get the fastest results with. And even better than that is starting them with the Vitalizer and pairing it with a protein. I mean, that combo sets you up for a lifelong customer and a new builder because they're going to feel such a change in those two products.
Ashley.
Awesome. So I am going to try and rush through this, but this is important stuff. It's important to understand how to get to the end of this conversation. So first of all, you really don't want to overwhelm people with too many products. I know that we have 300 and more products that are just outstanding, but we really want to start small with them. But it's important to say, I just want you to know that there's a lot of things that could help you, but I'm going to start you with this, and I want to continue to be your advocate in Shaklee to help get other products in your door as you need. And one thing that I will specifically say to people is, would it be okay if you and I communicated often and you told me kind of what was going on with you so that I can be the best advocate for you moving forward in order to offer additional products as necessary? So just be sure to have that conversation and to be mindful of not doing too many products. The next thing is the budget. A lot of people sadly don't use some of the products that we have. Some do, so we can go into how you can replace, if they're already having breakfast every day, which you hope that they are, the protein can just replace that. So you can talk about that. But really, as I always say, be as honest as you can be and just say, I want to be conscious of your budget. So I'm going to share some things with you that I think would be important with that. And honestly, I just ask people, do you mind? Is it okay if I ask what your budget is? Because I really want to be able to fit something in that works for you. So a really great question to ask in the middle or even at the end, towards the end is, let's pause for a second. How is this all feeling for you? And really just checking in with people to make sure that you're on the same page and they're not feeling overwhelmed, because as Lisa said, it can be very overwhelming. How much do you think you spend on medication? So that's that replacement thing. How can you help them wrap their head around putting money in a different place? It's not necessarily spending more, but putting it somewhere else. And if they come back and say, I'm just not ready at this time, the open door approach is just so amazing. Just always say, gosh, I totally understand, validate what's going on for them. I totally understand, but my door will always be open. So I hope that, if you ever do change your mind, that you'll come to me, because I'm your Shaklee girl. And really at the end here, so now that I've had a chance to learn more about you and your health concerns, this is my favorite thing, just asking people to dream a little, to bring a little magic into their life, close their eyes, snap their fingers, and if one thing could be changed, what would it be? And I have found that sometimes it's a lot different than I would have anticipated, and then I really know which way to go as opposed to maybe what I was planning. So letting them really dream about what it is that they would change initially is a really interesting way to approach it.
Very good.
That's good.
Oh, and why don't we just, Ashley, let's just click through these real quick, just introduce, people can go back and see them, but then I think that we should really land on that slide where you talk about kind of the incentives right before the nutritional resources. I think that'll be a good one to wrap up on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there you go. Perfect. Thanks.
All right. So, one of the slides that we did pass is being able to give people the good, better, best option, and this kind of shows this here. In addition to being mindful of not too many products, we can offer people within their budget. Usually the better is right at their budget, the good is right below, and the best is just right above, and you can kind of explain what it is. This is really where we're asking, let me know if this isn't comfortable for you, but I'd like to put this within your financial needs and your health needs, and then you can answer those questions of the good, better, best. But one of the things that Lisa wanted me to touch on is incentives for people. So when I have somebody, as I said, I give an incentive for somebody just to hop on the phone with me and do this health consult. But then I'll also say, and sometimes I can do it right on the phone if my mind is working quick enough, if I've taken my mind works and my energy too. And sometimes I might say, let me get back to you a little bit after I have some time to research, and that's okay. It's okay not to have the answers right away. It's okay to say, could you give me about 12 to 24 hours to just do the best research for you and come back with an answer? But what I do when I have an answer, whether it's right away or the next day, is I say, I really think that the vitalizing plan, for instance, would be really good for you, but, you also mentioned that stress is a big deal. So here's what I'm going to do. If you order this vitalizing plan and you attach a date to it, 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe 7 days if you're feeling friendly, and then you say, I'd like to just give you a free bottle of stress relief. And so I love to give an incentive for somebody to order, and I love to be able to do it around a product that we a symptom that we spoke about that a product would help with. So whether it's, they talked about energy, so I'm just going to give them some free energizing tea if they order this. And the deadline thing makes people think about it, because this is really overwhelming, and if they don't want to kind of put the pedal to the metal, they're just going to let it fall to the wayside and not do anything about it. So I like to attach a deadline to get people just to jump and take a leap of faith, and then we'll help them fly, right? So offering them something that really let them know, I was listening to you, and I'm excited to help you move forward in your healthy journey.
That's so good. And, I think one of the most important things we can do when we're in this process is, this is where we really need to be a leader, initiating some options, giving them direction. People have a hard time making a decision, and so we don't ever push. We never push. It's their decision, but we do lead. And Ashley, I think you gave us a good example of that. So Harper, you can just tick through these really quickly, and then we'll dive into the questions for today, because they are...
You know what? They're there on the slides. I think some of the questions people were asking is, where can they access this? So, Joe, why don't you tell them about that?
The PowerPoint webinar slides are posted at betterhealth.com. in 31 Days and its sister site, Better Future Starts Today. Those are subscription sites, and as they are password protected, but if you go there, you can find the information for subscribing, and they are usually up probably within 2 or 3 days after today.
Chris told me that his goal is to always have it posted before he goes to bed Saturday night.
Oh, great.
He does a lot of editing. He has these special
Right.
and he's got now and filters and so on. So, yeah, that's good to know.
That's what I was going to say. There is a good deal of work involved in archiving those.
I was going to say, too, in the business leader guide that we talk about a lot that is on Learning from the Masters, there is the nutritional consultation guideline, and I cannot take credit for this. This is something that I think Harper, maybe Katie, I'm not sure. Somebody amazing put it together, and I just kind of put it in a good readable format, but it's in that business leader guide, and so is the nutrition assessment. And those can be really helpful, and they go along really well with this webinar in terms of the questions that you can ask, and even some of the different categories and products that you can offer.
And Becky, if you want to click to the next page, I think we actually reference those at the bottom of the action steps. So very good. Awesome. So who wants to start with some of these other questions? There's been several questions about Nutriferon and the comment about, autoimmune diseases. Barb, can you just give us the quick answer to that?
Sure. But everybody take a breath and relax, because we decided that this summer we're going to do 4 sessions, and we'll do a little deeper dive into all of this for you. But we'll do 4 sessions, kind of a Nutrition 101 course for those who are interested. And so we won't be able to have to go quite so quickly over all of this. But it's the Nutriferon question. You all are building businesses. And so what we're doing here is help you understand, if you decide to do the nutrition consultation route, and not everybody may, but if you do, we wanted you to see what that looks like to build a business that way. And for many of us, we find that very satisfying, just because it's just so gratifying to see how the results people get, and fairly quickly. So the deal with Nutriferon is a fabulous product. People have given me feedback when they have autoimmune conditions, they've got a messed up immune system. So I like starting them first on the basics. And you'll see one of the slides that we talked about is why we start with Vitalizer and protein. If you do that, they're going to get results. If you do that first and then add the Nutriferon later, next, a month later, perhaps even. That way, if the Nutriferon tends to stimulate their immune system, and it does in some people initially, then they don't throw the whole thing out. That's the reason. And so if you do it in stages, they get to feel what it feels like to actually get good nutrients into their cells, to get their gut starting to work better, to absorb better, to get rid of those carbs, because their cravings aren't going to be as severe, and start working on getting the vegetables in. Then you add the Nutriferon, and then yet again they will see the improvement in their immune system. But that's the reason. Lots and lots of people who have autoimmune conditions take Nutriferon, but they probably didn't start with it. So it's just to be safer. We want people to have the most positive initial experience as possible. There's a couple of other just quick questions that so we covered. Many of you asked about referencing the questions, the Candida sheets, all of that. Yes, we will attach those, not to worry, and a lot of that will be also posted at Learning from the Masters Facebook page.
There's also a lot of questions for you, Ashley, about your sample packs and what do you put in there?
Well, honestly, it kind of depends on what I have on hand, but we have a ton of stuff that you can buy that are actually the samples, like the Basic H and the skincare and a protein packet and a snack bar and energizing tea or energizing chew. You can also kind of put some stuff together, but I think it's just an assortment of some of the products that we love. And, that whole piece that we learned at the beginning of the webinar on writing a special note, I think that putting a little note in there, handwritten, about what each little sample is also really beautiful.
And then what do you give as your free gift with the consultation?
So to do the consultation, I do the free sample pack, but then if they decide to order, that's typically when I attach something that's personalized. So if somebody spoke a lot about energy, I might do energizing tea if they buy a vitalizing plan, for instance. And you want to make it something that is worthwhile for you, but also I believe that giving comes back to you. So giving a gift to somebody is just a really wonderful thing that you can do. But it allows them to see that not only were you listening to them, but you really are dedicated to making sure that they see some differences in their health. So I like those to be personalized and always put a deadline with it. But you can do anything. I mean, you could even just do a sample pack. And, I've had somebody who had really bad headaches all the time. And so I sent her, our headache regimen, which is Performance, CalMag, and Vitamin C, just a few samples of those to try the next time she had a headache to stop taking all that extra Tylenol. So, whatever is personalized enough to just give them an incentive to hop on board and try something new for themselves.
And if you're brand new and you really are working on a budget, a little goes a long way. You know what I mean? And I know Ashley would agree with that. Sometimes as we grow, we have a little bit more flexibility with what we can give as a free gift. But sometimes you can just put something little and it makes a big impact,
Mm-hmm. Totally.
All right.
There's an important point that somebody's making here about if someone's going back to going to their pharmacist or going back to their doctor, not to say, and Dr. McManus has talked about this too, you don't say, can I take this? You want to say something like, does this have any interaction with my medication? Mm-hmm. Or to the doctor, do you see any reason why I couldn't take this? That makes them stop and think. They can't just say, don't take it.
And even to a doctor to say, I've decided that I would like to begin to reduce this medication. I need to ask you, how do I do it? Because that's just a new concept for doctors. Right. And so, I don't fault them. Many of them, nutrition's an elective for them, and there's a lot of stuff for them to learn. And they are new doctors of medicine. That's what an MD is. And so they're taught to diagnose a disease and treat it with a medication. That's, and so I'm glad somebody knows how to do that.
Yes. Exactly.
But we know how to build health, and that's really that's the distinction.
And we have a great opportunity here to educate doctors one by one.
Right. I had a nurse practitioner once tell me, it's really okay if you don't supplement when you're pregnant. It's okay. You'll be fine. And I'm thinking,
oh my goodness.
Wow, especially when I'm, especially being pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah, it amazed me, because
is very troubling.
Lack
Very
of knowledge.
good. Thank you, everybody. This is a big topic, and what we're trying to do here is simplify it, and so people are not intimidated by it, and understand it's a friendly conversation. And the first time you do this, if you can find some people to practice on and say, I'd like to learn how to help people do a nutritional assessment, and so I'm going to ask you some questions, and here they're right here, and so here, the first question they said I should ask you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your energy? So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your energy? People, you can have fun with it. Somebody asked if you mail the questions to them beforehand, and for me, I would say absolutely not. And the reason is I want to have the conversation with them to raise their awareness about this. I want to build a relationship with them. There are questionnaires. There's the health assessment that you can send to people. That's something that goes out. But these questions are meant to be a dialogue and a communication with people, a relationship building, and give you a picture about them. And what they hear from this, if nothing else, is that you care more about them. I think, Ashley, you said this very well. You care more about them and getting them to a healthy place than about making a sale. It's very good.
Absolutely.
Yep. Becky, do you want to click real quick to that health questionnaire just so everybody can get a visual? It'll only take 2 seconds, but I think those questions are quite good. Thank you. All right.
I'll attach a nutrition assessment form, too, to the email, the recap email, and that Candida sheet.
That's what I was going to say. Lots of people requesting the Candida sheet, so very good. Very good. All righty.
All right, let's go. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week, and thanks all for joining us. This is a long call today. Thanks, and thanks, trainers. You did a great job on this one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. We're glad that you are here, and we want to welcome you to the training this morning. Just a quick slide on the Monday Wellness webinars that we have happening. The next one is going to be Dr. Colby, and this is going to be a really good one to really be able to educate ourselves, but also our customers on what makes Shaklee stand out. Then we've got stress and adrenal fatigue with our own Pam Carey. I'm thrilled to hear about that one. A new one that we're going to be having regularly, which I'm so excited about, is just going through the product guide. So it's going to talk about the different products in the product guide. It's great for those of us that have been in the business a long time, but it's also especially great for those people that are new. Then we've got Kristen Jabogoski's story and talking about the Shaklee business. Another one in March about cancer by Dr. Cheney. Then Lyme's disease, and that just, I keep hearing more and more people with that diagnosis. So that will be a really important one for us to have. And then again, another walk through the product guide. So we'll jump ahead here to Stephanie.
Great.
Hi.
Stephanie, share this great tip with us.
Yes. Okay. Well, the other day I went out to the mailbox, and usually in the mailbox it's all just bills or credit card offers and stuff. But I had actually about a week and a half before had opened up finally my own Shaklee checking account, so I can have my direct deposits go there. And so this particular day I went out to the mailbox, and there was actually a hand addressed card to me, and I was really excited about that because, like I said, typically I don't receive mail other than stuff I don't really care to open. And so this day it was a handwritten letter from the bank thanking me for my business and opening up a bank account, and letting me know that if I had any questions or troubles or anything that I could reach out to them and they'd be glad to help me. So my point with that was that really that's something I strive to do in my business, is send thank you cards to every order I ever receive, because I want them to understand and realize that I'm different than going to go to the store at Walmart and purchasing their vitamins, or Target, and vice versa. So I also did this for Valentine's Day. I wrote out cards for all of my customers, thanking them for being loyal customers, especially if they haven't bought anything in the last 3 months. I really wanted to get those done first because I really want to show my appreciation for them for becoming a member in the first place, even if they haven't ordered since. So that was just something that I really enjoyed receiving in the mail, and it brightened my day. So going forward, really thinking about your business, it's a great way to brighten somebody's day. And usually one more tip that I do is I buy those really colorful envelopes, so they're really bright colored. They sell boxes of them at Walmart. And I like to use those because they're real flashy in the mail then when they get their card from me, rather than it just being another white envelope and maybe missing it. So I like to have it be very colorful.
That's a brilliant idea.
I've done that for years. Try to find the most creative, unique envelope there is, and if you look around, you'll find them on little clearance racks and stuff, because they're not all that common where people want kind of a crazy different envelope. And then you find the coolest stamp in the world, and that right there, Stephanie, you're so smart. It's that one extra thing that causes people to go ahead and take a look at it. So very good tip.
One more thing too with that. Another thing I've done is postcards, just to kind of help cut down on the price of postage sometimes. And what I did was I created little coloring postcards for each of my kids to color, and then I wrote a thank you saying, thank you for supporting our family Shaklee business, or something like that, and then love Tamara, or love Braden, or my kid's name. So it kind of was a little more personal than coming just from me, showing that their purchase actually affects my whole family. So
I think that's so smart. And we really just want it to be, we really do want it to be personal. Even if we have beautiful postcards, just having, a little handwritten couple of words makes it for them specifically and not just a mass mailing thing. So, so smart. Nice.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, good morning, Miss Barbara.
Good morning. Stephanie, that was brilliant.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. And if you want to go back to Tara's slides, Tara, it is still saying that you're self-muted. I have no idea why it's doing that. But if you get through, Tara, just holler. Otherwise, I'll share Tara's 100-day plan because it is brilliant. And then we will have Tara come and join us another day when we can figure out why she can't talk to us. But Tara is a downline leader in our organization, and she put together such a beautiful plan. It was a really awesome thing to share with people to kind of help them get a good picture of what a plan looks like. So you can see how she's organized this. She has where she's at right now, the rank she wants to become, the benefits of all of this, qualify for New Directors Conference and all the things that are going to happen. And then she broke it down right to her 100-day goal. So you can see she wants to be a senior director, bring in 50 new members, sponsor 10. Very specific. Look at how clear her plan is going to be because she knows exactly what she's going to do. 4 meetings a month. She's going to do some bigger events, some, member in-home events, and then she wants to grow her base solid. And then you can see her activity detailed down here beautifully. And then I love the fact that she went ahead and took this into her annual goals, which is something. Ooh, I see you, Tara. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, Lisa, I'm here.
Yay, good. Okay,
Good.
so I got you started, but we really do want to hear this from your voice because you created this. So go ahead and share this page with us and what you did here.
Well, I think that it's really important that when we're making goals that we focus on the activity that we need to do to be creating the goals. So one of my builders had submitted her 100-day to Amazing goal, and I saw that she was committing to 15 to 20 hours a week, and I was like, by golly, she can't do more than I do. So I decided to up my effort during this 100 days. My husband is an accountant, and he's working some pretty long hours in the office, so it kind of is I have more time at home to be doing this. So anyway, I'll be working 15 to 20 hours a week between making phone calls, following up with people. And I really wanted to make a focus on phone calls and calling people and being able to connect with them because it's really incredible what happens when we actually take the time to talk to someone, not just, pick up the phone and just get through the call really quickly. I've had some really amazing conversations over the past couple of weeks, and I'm actually really excited for the call today to learn even more about what types of questions to be asking. I really also wanted to have a focus on being able to listen to people's needs and sharing the business opportunity with people because so many people are looking for something like this and they don't even know it. Part of that is I have like 10 people who I was absolutely terrified to reach out to. So I sent it to Kathy, who's my upline, and I said by the end of 100 Days to Amazing, I need to have called every single person on this list. And what's funny is that usually, especially if we do say like, I'm really nervous to call you and I just don't know why, totally dissipates all of the tension. They're like, I can't believe it. Like, we hear that time and time again on these training calls, and it's so true. So the couple calls I have made have been absolutely wonderful and have been really fruitful. And then I made some annual goals as well. One of the things I'm most excited about, though, is bringing our team to Orlando. I'm so grateful to Shackley for the $750 voucher that we earned at the end of last year. We're going to use it to pay for our team to come to conference, and I'm just so excited to provide that option to them because most of them are moms, all of them are moms actually, and money is really tight, so that's a really great way to help cut down on the cost of conference.
That's wonderful.
Yay.
That's amazing.
So one of the things I loved about Tara's whole plan here is of course, it's so thorough, and she's got the 100 days, and then she's got the annual goal, she's got the activity. But Tara, would you share your affirmation that you kind of put the big caboose on the end of this goal here with this affirmation that I thought it was just really good. So share that with us.
Sure. Well, I've been thinking a lot of like mission and vision for our team and what I see for my own business and what I would like other people to see as their vision for themselves, but I was thinking a lot about what that means to us, and this is what I came up with. I'm an engineer, so this is the best I can do with the words that I have. I have a dynamic team that anxiously anticipates and seeks out the needs of individuals and families and helps provide natural solutions to meet their health and financial goals. Our members seek our input and advice in regards to their health goals. And what's funny is after I started telling this to myself, my phone started ringing and people started calling me for their Shackley questions. So how much of that had to do with the quality phone calls I've been having or the member care I've been working so hard on? how much of it is just telling myself this and boosting my own confidence and vision for our group. I don't know, but it has been a blessing so far.
That's so awesome.
What
Yay!
a wonderful recap. That's awesome.
What a great
Yes.
report. Congratulations, Tara.
Yes.
Yeah, good
We're-
work.
We're so excited because she
Before-
has Go ahead,
Before
Barb.
we start, I just want to underline a couple things she said about, did you hear her say how she is deliberately taking the time to talk to people?
Mhm.
You know, she's on, yeah, how many times have we heard that when people have really, I remember when we had Crystal Hubbard with us. Remember, she built her business on Facebook, but what she learned was to take it off Facebook and onto the phone. So that was so great. And listening for needs and recognizing that's something that you just practice, don't you?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
excellent. So,
Oh.
and then how she sent this to her upline so she has someone to support her and keep her focused. So good for you.
Mhm.
A lot of great lessons in your message there. Thanks, Tara. And so we're off and running, Lisa.
We are. So I will give the countdown and we will kick this great training off.